From a kid with no cursed energy to the strongest sorcerer in the entire world, these are all 9 of Yuji's forms in Jujutsu Kaisen. And let's start with the most important part, his birth. You see, when Yuji's mother was just 16, she unfortunately died, but her body was taken over by Kenjaku, who used his brain transferring ability on her. After that, Kenjaku pretended to be Yuji's mom up until the point where she got married and had a baby. So yeah, Kenjaku is pretty much Yuji's mom, which is a bit weird. Anyway, during this time, Kenjaku also infused one of Sukuna's fingers inside the child, which made Yuji super strong compared to regular humans. Now, why did Kenjaku even do all of this? Well, it was all because of his goal to create a perfect vessel that could contain Sukuna's power. He chose Yuji's family specifically because Yuji's father, Jin, was a reincarnation of Sukuna's brother, which made his family perfect for Kenjaku's experiments. So yeah, Yuji was basically a descendant of Sukuna who was created as an experiment by Kenjaku. Considering all of this, just imagine what kind of potential this kid had. Anyway, as he was growing up, Yuji realized that he was much stronger and faster than regular humans. He was pretty much a prodigy that excelled at every sport he did. During this time, we mostly saw Yuji at his school wearing a yellow hoodie and blue pants. At school, he mostly hung out with a bunch of slackers in the occult club since he didn't really care about sports. Things were going great for Yuji up until the point when his grandfather died and one of his club members found another one of Sukuna's fingers. One done, still 8 forms left to go, and let's continue with possessed Yuji. In the blink of an eye, Yuji's life instantly changed as he was introduced to the world of sorcerers and curses. In order to save his friends, Yuji decided to eat the finger his friend found, shocking Megumi. Once he ate it, his personality completely flipped and he turned into someone else entirely. The king of curses, Sukuna. Although everyone thought that Yuji was completely gone after this, he somehow managed to gain back control of his body using his willpower. Well, willpower and the fact that he was literally made to contain Sukuna, but he didn't know this at the time. Anyway, following this incident, Yuji found himself tied up in a chair in front of Gojo. He was then forced to enroll in Jujutsu High, and he slowly began training his body in order to use cursed energy. Within a matter of weeks, Yuji went from a novice sorcerer to a member of the first-year team with Megumi and Nobara. Soon, Yuji and his team went on a mission to rescue detention center victims, where he came face to face with a special grade curse. Realizing that he was still not strong enough to defeat an enemy like this, Yuji was forced to give control of his body to Sukuna in order to deal with the monster. Sukuna immediately jumped on the opportunity, transforming Yuji into one of the strongest characters in the entire series. During his possession, Yuji's body went through several changes. Not only did he get a lot more muscular, but his entire body was covered with Sukuna's tattoos to show the viewers that Yuji was now completely possessed. Obviously, Sukuna and Yuji's body easily took down the special grade curse, but then he refused to give Yuji's body back to him. In order to ensure Yuji couldn't transform back, Sukuna even took out his heart, meaning that if Yuji came back, he would instantly die. However, despite everything, Yuji still found the strength to come back in order to save Megumi, dying in the process. Yuji reborn. The next day, Yuji found himself completely healed with no real explanation for it. However, in reality, Sukuna used his powers to revive him so he could slowly work toward reincarnating himself. After this incident, Yuji was a lot more aware of his own limitations and knew that he had to get a lot stronger. This was when he started following Gojo's training regimen, which consisted of watching various movies to learn how to control his emotions. After that, Gojo decided to take things up a notch and took Yuji to witness a real battle between him and Jogo. This was when Yuji learned about domain expansions and realized just how weak he was compared to real special grade curses. Sometime later, Yuji was teamed up with Nanami, a veteran Jujutsu sorcerer, so he could learn from him and improve. Despite being stronger than before, Yuji didn't get any major power-up during this arc and looked pretty much the same. Oh, one thing he realized during this arc was that he had an innate resistance to poisons, probably due to the fact that Sukuna lived inside his body. One major battle Yuji participated in after being reborn was against Mahito, and despite being much stronger now than at the beginning of the story, it was clear Yuji stood no chance against him. Even with Nanami's help, Yuji barely survived and would have been dead for sure if Sukuna hadn't saved him. However, Yuji wouldn't stay this weak for long, as things were quickly about to change for him. Black Flash Yuji. At this point, it was around 4 months since Yuji first joined Tokyo Jujutsu High, and although he was making great progress, he needed to get much stronger, much faster. This finally happened once Yuji crossed paths with Todo. Upon observation, Todo figured out what Yuji's problem actually was when it came to using cursed energy. It was the fact that Yuji's cursed energy output was lagging far behind his physical punches. Yuji chose to listen to his upperclassmen and began learning how to overcome his weakness. Soon, a curtain was spread over Tokyo High, and the cursed spirit's surprise attack began. Here, Yuji and Todo ended up facing Hanami, an insanely strong special grade curse. Yuji decided to use this fight as a learning opportunity and try out the things Todo told him about. Although he wasn't able to land Black Flash right away, after some advice from Todo, he actually managed to do it. Eventually, Yuji took things up a notch by actually managing to land 4 successive Black Flashes in a row, a feat that impressed Todo beyond belief. This was probably the strongest power-up Yuji got up to this point in the story, as being able to land Black Flash instantly put him among the top-tier sorcerers. Shibuya Incident Yuji. From here on, during the next month, Yuji continued owning his skills and going on some missions for Tokyo High. However, it was when the Shibuya incident suddenly happened that Yuji's strength was put to the real test once again. His stellar performance during the Goodwill event earned Yuji a role in this arc, and he was tasked with assisting Gojo along with other sorcerers. Assigned to the Meimei team, he initially didn't see much action, but soon enough, he was tasked with entering the station and locating the person who cast the domain. Traveling through the different levels of the station, Yuji fought through hordes of transfigured humans and eventually located the grasshopper curse that was responsible for the domain. Yuji then used his new fighting skills to easily exorcise it and finally allow the other sorcerers to enter the station. Yuji's feats didn't end there, however, as he soon came face to face with his brother, Chozo. In this fight, Yuji showed off the fruits of his training by displaying superhuman levels of speed and endurance. He successfully avoided blood-piercing shots that were fast enough to break the sound barrier. The battle was an incredibly brutal one, but Yuji managed to scrape out a victory in the end, proving just how far he had come. The moment when Yuji truly peaked in this arc was when he was transformed into Sukuna, thanks to Jogo feeding him a dozen fingers. In this form, Yuji completely lost control of his body, and Sukuna emerged way stronger than before. Even a cursed spirit as powerful as Jogo stood no chance against Sukuna, as he mercilessly toyed with the spirit during the entire battle. Even when Megumi summoned Mahoraga, Yuji's body was able to tank some truly devastating hits that would have easily killed any other sorcerer. After this whole ordeal, Yuji eventually regained control of his body and found himself facing Mahito. Although Yuji wanted to get revenge on Mahito for everything he had done, unfortunately, he still wasn't strong enough. It was only when he teamed up with Todo again that the duo finally started making some progress, as Yuji was able to land multiple successive Black Flashes on the curse. This was Yuji's toughest fight by far, and all 3 of them surpassed their potential and fought at 120% of their maximum power. Just as it looked like the pair was about to win, they were overwhelmed yet again when Mohito evolved into his ultimate form. However, despite everything, Yuji fought head-on against this powerful being and stood his ground surprisingly well. At this point, it was clear that Yuji was stronger than pretty much all of his fellow classmates, as he was tackling Mahito's final form all by himself. Using all of the cursed energy stored inside his body, Yuji's final Black Flash was strong enough to completely annihilate the villain and finally grant him a victory. By the end of it all, even Kenjaku complimented Yuji on his strength and durability. There are only 4 more forms left to cover, and I can't wait to show you guys the last one. But before that, let's continue with Calling Games Yuji. After Gojo was sealed following the Shibuya incident, there was now no one protecting Yuji from the Jujutsu higher-ups. So, despite everything he had done to help sorcerers, Yuta was eventually sent to assassinate him. And by the way, just the fact that they had to ask the second most powerful sorcerer on the planet for help to eradicate Yuji showed how powerful the higher-ups thought he was. Yuji proved that assumption true as well when he successfully managed to avoid getting captured for quite some time. Inevitably though, Yuta summoned Rika in order to catch Yuji off guard and hold him in place. Later, it was even revealed that Yuji held back during this fight because of what happened in Shibuya when Sukuna took control of his body. Now, I'm not saying Yuji would win this fight if he didn't hold back, but it would probably have been a bit more competitive. Anyway, after accepting Megumi's request to enter the Calling Games in order to rescue his sister, Yuji and the crew headed out to Tokyo to face off against a bunch of unique sorcerers. Yuji showed off some great skills during this arc, fighting against people with various different abilities and showing quick thinking as he engaged each one. However, he truly met his match when he came face to face with Hiromi. You see, due to his weird curse technique, Hiromi wasn't a guy Yuji could defeat with raw power, and instead, he basically had to talk his way out of it. This kind of worked, and Yuji even managed to recruit the powerful sorcerer to his cause. But Hiromi wasn't Yuji's real test in this arc, as Sukuna soon took control of Megumi's body and started fighting everyone. Finally up against Sukuna himself, Yuji went all out with Maki and Hana's help, but he was still nowhere near strong enough to actually stand his ground against the King of Curses. Although, that was about to change really soon. Secret training Yuji. While trying to find a way to unseal Gojo from the prison realm, Yuji trained with Kusakabe in secret in order to learn how to effectively use reverse curse technique and simple domain. He also received a substantial power-up boost due to the fact that he consumed the cursed womb death paintings that were in the possession of Jujutsu High. With this massive strength boost, Yuji prepared himself for one of the toughest fights of his life. From impossible black flashes to constant regeneration, Yuji tanked slashes, malevolent shrine attacks, and nearly everything Sukuna threw at him time and time again. He wasn't giving Sukuna any time to breathe, constantly chasing him and wearing him down over time. Every time Yuji found himself wounded and on the brink of death, he took it as an opportunity to think about Sukuna's movements and figure out a way to defeat him. In this form, Yuji was dead set on improving no matter what, and this helped him transform into his ultimate form, Full Potential Yuji. Over the course of several hours, Yuji continued to land massive black flashes on Sukuna. However, they didn't seem to damage the curse in the slightest. In true main character fashion, after seeing his friends vanish one by one, Yuji awakened another ridiculous ability. More precisely, he showed off how he could now copy Sukuna's own curse techniques, as well as those of his brother, Chozo. Using blood manipulation and shrine, Yuji was finally able to stand toe-to-toe against Sukuna. But he knew that if he actually wanted to win, he would need even more than that. This was when Yuji realized his true power and finally cast his domain expansion for the first time. His domain manifested as a physical recreation of his hometown, and in it, all physical attacks were useless. Inside his domain, Yuji had the ability to attack Sukuna's soul directly, ending the fight instantly. However, before that, Yuji gave the villain one last chance to talk and resolve the situation peacefully. Considering this is Sukuna we're talking about, that obviously didn't work, and he kept trying to fight the losing battle. Eventually, with Nobara's help, Yuji used a black flash to exorcise Sukuna from Megumi's body and then watched as the King of Curses disintegrated right in front of him. In this form, not only was Yuji the wisest, but by the end of it all, he also became the strongest sorcerer alive on the planet. But what if I told you that this still wasn't Yuji's final form? The man stuck in time. Take everything I'm going to say in this section with a grain of salt, as all of this information came from Jujutsu Kaisen's sequel manga, Modulo. Modulo takes place around 70 years after the final fight against Sukuna, and just recently, we found out that Yuji was somehow still alive in this timeline. Even weirder was that he still seems young, implying that he stopped aging for some reason. This may have been because he consumed cursed womb paintings or simply because of his weird birth and Kenjaku's experiments. Anyway, during those 70 years, the Sumerians, a powerful alien race with the ability to use jujutsu, landed on Earth and began to assimilate with Japanese society. Considering that this manga barely started, we don't have much information about the Sumerians or Yuji's role in this story. However, what we do know is that the Jujutsu higher-ups wanted to seek Yuji's help in dealing with this threat. This pretty much confirms that Yuji is now the strongest sorcerer alive and will likely have a big role in Modulo as the story develops. Click on this video next where I explained all of Sukuna's forms in Jujutsu Kaisen. Go on, click it.